Thanks for the opportunity to assist with the landscape design for your home. This animated video portrays how the proposed landscape may appear about 5 years after installation, given a reasonable level of care for the low-maintenance landscape it's intended to be. As you are looking at this proposed landscape from 60 feet up, look for the following. There are 3 walls that are created from stacking rectangular natural boulders. There's a fire pit terrace that's 14 in diameter, which uses a portable fire pit that you'll supply. The surface of that terrace is number 78's clean gray stone that's mined locally. Those give the surface a fine texture. You'll notice there is a 4-inch tall stone curbing around the part of the terrace that adjoins lawn. That's to keep the gravel from migrating. I don't show the curbing at the landscape beds. The mulch will form an edge that will keep the gravel in place. The stone curbing is also used at the parking area, but only where the gravel drive meets lawn. In other areas, the gravel drive meets mulch, or a fine fescue grass that will grow tall and flop over, obscuring the gravel that ends up in it. If this doesn't work the way it's intended, additional curbing can always be added in the future. Finally, there are some plants that don't show up on the plan as they're covered by the eaves of the roof. These will show up in the animation, however. The mulch for plants under the decks and next to the foundation wall is a drab brown stone mulch. Drab, so that it doesn't draw attention to itself. This is a fire safety measure that is intended to blend in from a distance. As we are flying through the proposed landscape, I'll mention some guidelines that I try to follow in the design. First and foremost, this plan takes deer resistance seriously. It uses a relatively short list of plants that are considered highly resistant to deer browsing. Even with the best planning, newly installed plants, especially nursery-grown ones, are more appealing to deer than established ones. That's why I recommend applying a long-lasting deer repellent 2 or 3 times during the first growing season. This small step can make a big difference as the landscape gets established. Next, the plant groupings are designed to function like the mature, natural plant communities you'd find in the surrounding region. These combinations include complementary root structures that fill different soil layers. Over time, this helps crowd out weeds, meaning less maintenance for you down the road. You'll also see that each combination includes either a dense ground cover or a colonizing plant that will eventually spread and cover the planting bed. That means the mulch you see now may be the only layer this landscape ever needs. And of course, each group is selected for seasonal interest, with plants that bloom in succession across spring, summer, and into fall. This not only keeps the landscape visually dynamic, but it also provides critical support for pollinators and beneficial insects throughout the growing season. This plan uses native plants, including cultivars of natives. All are commonly available through various local wholesale growers. This includes wholesale growers in the region that ship plugs or pints. Native plants are better adapted to our local climate and soils, and they offer superior support for native pollinators, birds, and insects. They also tend to be more resistant to local pests and diseases, which means less need for pesticides and fungicides. Drought-tolerant plants are used throughout, which helps reduce long-term water use and irrigation needs once they're established. You'll also notice that some plant placements are strategic, for example, helping to filter runoff and manage stormwater naturally. These choices contribute to erosion control while supporting the health of the surrounding landscape. And finally, the design incorporates fire-wise landscaping practices. Gravel mulch is used close to the foundation, paired with low flammability ground covers for added protection. Flammable grasses that dry out during dormancy are kept away from the house, and gravel is used underneath decks to reduce fire risk in those areas. The remainder of this video goes through each of the planting combinations. If you like detail, then you may enjoy the remainder of this video. If you're more of the big picture type, then please look at 1 or 2 in order to get an idea of the rest of the video. We'll begin at the stacked boulder wall holding up the fire pit terrace. Allium cernuum, or nodding onion, and Phlox subulata, known as moss phlox, combine bold color with fine texture in a compact sun-loving planting that supports pollinators and resists deer. Moss phlox forms a dense evergreen mat that erupts in spring with vivid blooms, creating a bright floral carpet that suppresses weeds and stabilizes soil on slopes or rocky sites. As it fades, nodding onion rises through the foliage with slender stems and nodding rose-pink flowers that attract bees and butterflies well into summer. Both plants thrive in well-drained soils and have compatible root systems. Phlox staying close to the surface while nodding onion's bulbs nestle just beneath. This allows them to coexist in tight spaces without crowding. Nodding onion was valued by indigenous peoples for its edible bulbs, used both as a seasoning and medicinally. Together, these plants offer deer-resistant color across seasons, ecological support, and tidy resilience in challenging sites. Moving beyond the fire pit terrace to the foundation planting, Hypericum calmianum, or Calm St. John's wort, and Pachera aurea, known as golden groundsel, form a vibrant low-maintenance pairing with strong seasonal presence and wildlife appeal. Golden groundsel spreads as a semi-evergreen ground cover, blooming in early spring with cheerful yellow flowers that support native pollinators emerging from winter dormancy. Calm St. John's wort follows in summer with bright golden blooms held above blue-green foliage, adding structure and a second wave of color. Both plants are well adapted to moist, well-drained soils, and their root systems, fibrous and non-invasive, allow for close planting without competition. Golden groundsel suppresses weeds and helps retain soil moisture, while St. John's wort provides nesting cover and nectar for bees. Though less commonly known, early herbalists once explored uses for St. John's wort species in topical remedies, believing them to ease wounds and burns. This duo blends function, resilience, and beauty, while naturally resisting deer browse. Moving over to the new steps, Carex radiata, or Eastern Star Sedge, and Ilex glabra, commonly known as inkberry, form a clean, adaptable pairing that provides year-round structure and subtle seasonal shifts. Eastern Star Sedge emerges early with fine arching foliage and delicate blooms, creating a soft, low-growing layer that thrives in partial shade and helps retain soil moisture. Inkberry, a slow-growing evergreen holly, offers rich green foliage and a tidy mounding form, with small white flowers in spring that give way to black berries valued by birds. Their root systems are complementary. Sedge stays shallow and non-invasive, while inkberry's deeper roots anchor the design and access moisture from below. Both species contribute to soil stability and biodiversity, supporting insects, birds, and small mammals. Historically, some Native American groups brewed inkberry leaves into teas used ceremonially and medicinally. This combination is deer-resistant, quietly durable, and ideal for naturalistic plantings with year-round appeal. Moving around to the front side of the house, Carex radiata, common name Eastern Star Sedge, Leucotho fontanesiana, or drooping leucotho, and Matuchia struthiopteris, known as ostrich fern, create a richly layered shade-loving composition with year-round interest and ecological benefit. Eastern Star Sedge weaves a fine-textured ground-level tapestry, its bright green foliage and starry flower clusters adding early-season charm. Drooping leucotho brings structure and depth with its arching evergreen branches, subtly fragrant spring flowers, and glossy foliage that deepens in tone through the seasons. Ostrich fern adds dramatic verticality, its tall plume-like fronds unfurling in spring with a lush prehistoric elegance. These three coexist harmoniously. The sedge's shallow roots nestle comfortably beneath the broader footprint of the fern, while leucotho's woody structure anchors the design without competing underground. Ostrich fern spreads slowly by rhizomes, knitting into the lower layers without overwhelming the sedge. All three plants contribute to habitat complexity, offering cover and nesting materials for wildlife. Historically, ostrich fern's young fiddleheads were foraged by indigenous peoples and early settlers as a seasonal delicacy, valued both for their nutrition and their symbolism of renewal. This trio offers a refined yet naturalistic effect that resists deer browsing while supporting a biodiverse understory. Moving around the corner to the north side of the house, Pachera aurea, or golden ragwort, and Spirea tomentosa, known as steeplebush, form a vivid pollinator-friendly pairing that thrives in moist, sunny to partly shaded conditions. Golden ragwort spreads as a semi-evergreen ground cover, blooming in early spring with bright yellow flowers that support early emerging bees. As its blooms fade, Steeplebush rises with bold, spiky clusters of pink flowers that attract butterflies and other summer pollinators. Their root systems are compatible. Ragwort's shallow rhizomatous roots stabilize the surface, while steeplebush develops a deeper fibrous network that anchors the planting. Both help prevent erosion and improve soil structure. Steeplebush has a modest history in folk medicine, once used in astringent teas by early settlers. Together, these two create a dynamic seasonal transition, offering ecological benefits, bold color, and natural deer resistance in a soft meadow-like composition. Moving across the lawn to the north edge, Carex radiata, common name Eastern star sedge, and Elymus hystrix or bottlebrush grass, pair beautifully in a subtle textural planting that offers ecological value and low-maintenance structure. Eastern star sedge forms a soft arching ground layer that emerges early in spring, its fine foliage and delicate star-like flowers adding brightness to shaded or partially shaded sites. Bottlebrush grass rises later with distinctive seed heads that resemble the bristles of a brush, an unusual and eye-catching feature that persists into fall. Both grasses are clump-forming and thrive in similar soil conditions, with fibrous root systems that coexist easily, allowing for healthy intermingling without aggressive spreading. Their fine root networks also improve soil structure and water retention, making them excellent choices for erosion-prone areas. Bottlebrush grass has a quiet history of usefulness. Indigenous peoples are thought to have used its sturdy stems in weaving and as bedding material. This understated duo supports native insects and birds while remaining unpalatable to deer, making it both resilient and beneficial in layered planting designs. Let's move along that edge to the east, to the planting bed along the top of slope above the drive. Allium cernuum, or nodding onion, and Viburnum dentatum, known as arrowwood viburnum, create a striking and functional pairing with strong seasonal interest and high wildlife value. Nodding onion brings fine foliage and elegant pink nodding blooms in summer that attract bees and butterflies. Arrowwood viburnum offers a contrasting shrub layer with creamy white spring flowers, followed by blue-black berries in late summer that are relished by birds. Their root systems coexist easily. Nodding onion's bulbs stay shallow and undisturbed, while viburnum's roots extend deeper without crowding. Both plants are adaptable and thrive in a range of soil conditions. Arrowwood viburnum's straight, sturdy stems were historically used by indigenous peoples to craft arrows, giving the plant its common name. Together, these two species support pollinators, birds, and native insects, all while naturally resisting deer and anchoring a layered planting with elegance and purpose. Continuing along that top edge of bank, Deschamps cespitosa, or tufted hairgrass, Ilex glabra, known as inkberry, and Spirea tomentosa, or steeplebush, combine to form a balanced, moisture-tolerant planting with year-round appeal and strong ecological value. Tufted hairgrass offers fine arching foliage and airy seed heads that provide movement and subtle structure through the growing season. Inkberry adds evergreen mass and form, with spring flowers that support pollinators and berries that feed birds into winter. Steeplebush contributes vibrant pink flower spikes in summer, drawing in bees and butterflies. These three coexist easily. Hairgrass and steeplebush have fibrous roots that hold soil and prevent erosion, while inkberry's deeper roots help access moisture and nutrients below. Historically, steeplebush was brewed as a medicinal tea by early herbalists for its astringent properties. Together, this trio offers texture, seasonal interest, and habitat support, while standing up to deer and adapting well to various sites. That concludes our tour of the landscape virtually. Hopefully, it won't be too long until you'll be able to walk around your new landscape.